Okay, we are live.
We are pre-recorded live.
Yeah, we have to deal with that. We'll get to that. Okay, so this is the EXJW-Live channel. This is episode 1, and welcome to the channel. My name's Greg, and
I'm Nash.
yeah, so I think everybody probably knows us a little bit from YouTube. I've been on YouTube a little bit, and Twitter, of course. And Nation, I think you're kind of on Reddit a bit, and you've been interviewed by Lady C on Critical Thinker.
Yeah, and we were in a documentary called Disfellowship too that has a ton of views.
Oh yeah,
Almost.
yeah, that's right. I don't know.
900,000.
Yeah, tell everybody about that in case nobody's seen it.
Well, it was done by a guy who has nothing to do with Jehovah's Witnesses, and he's from Edmonton. He was going to film school, I think.
Yeah.
So he decided he had a family friend, that was being shunned by his family. It was first he'd heard of it. So he kind of got in touch with a few of us from the Edmonton area, and then he interviewed. I think there was 4 of us. Yeah, Jody and Jan and Mike and myself, and and it really took off. So.
And what's it called again? Like the exact name?
It's called Disfellowship.
Really? Yeah, I've seen it, but it was a few years ago. Okay, so everybody, I want to thank you guys' support for, when we announced the channel. We seem to get a lot of positive feedback, so we're super excited about this. We don't know how long this will go for. Maybe it'll be 1 or 2 episodes. Maybe it'll be 1 or 200. We don't know, but we're going to have some fun. And that's what we're going to do. So why don't we start off? Now, people on YouTube probably know you, Nation, a lot better than they would me, because you've been interviewed before. So maybe let's just do a quick intro of you and me. You start.
Oh, good. I start.
Yeah.
Okay. So first of all, you keep calling me Nation, so I should clarify that. That's my full name. So now I kind of go by Nash, but anybody who knew me as a Jehovah's Witness called me Nation.
I'm a full name guy.
So a lot of people don't realize my name.
Hello, Michael. Nation. Hello, Jonathan.
It's very biblical, just so you know.
Is it really?
Yeah, it's in the lineage.
It's in one of the lineage.
Those really boring lists of names, and it was actually Noshan, and my parents changed it to Nation.
Really?
So that's what I got stuck with.
Greg is not in the Bible. I don't think.
No.
Although there was a Pope, Pope Gregory.
Yeah.
My real name's Gregory.
I know. Yeah. Gregory Lyle, for anybody searching his credit score.
Yeah, exactly. Don't do that. Okay, what else? What else?
Okay, so I'll go on. So I was raised a witness. Had 5 brothers. My parents came in when they were young, and had my 2 oldest brothers were just babies. And so then we were raised as witnesses. I always want to call it in the truth. It's terrible, but I keep saying it. But anyway, so we stayed in the same kind of area in northern Alberta, and we've got a lot of different stuff. My oldest brother passed away in a motorcycle accident when he was 19. I was 11 at the time, and so I think 7 months later I got baptized, and because my family was a real disaster. So I decided to dedicate my life and really double down.
When your brother died, that was like, you lived quite a ways away from me, but it was news even where I lived in Salmon Arm, BC, Canada.
Yeah.
Was that a factor in you getting baptized?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, it was a huge factor. Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. Because my mom she went into a huge depression, and it wasn't just that. So he was killed in that accident. And then my dad, it wasn't even 2 months later, he had a serious fall at work, into a basement right onto his head, and didn't kill him, thankfully, but it really, really screwed him up, because he was already, mentally not well from losing his oldest son. And then he was really struggling with brain injury from then on.
That's so weird how like bad things happen in batches.
Yeah.
It is like I had the exact same thing well, not the exact same thing. My brother got into a serious car accident, and, like, a few months later, our house burnt down, and my mother fell off a ladder and broke her arm.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's weird. I don't anyway,
Yeah.
um,
Well, we're not superstitious, but
but
we-
maybe.
Greg's a little stitious. He's
I'm
not not
maybe a little bit.
superstitious.
So, okay, so you're baptized. What next?
So then we just carry on. My oldest brothers moved to BC. They meet a couple girls, marry them, all witnesses, and then Jared gets married. Then I get married, and then my youngest brother gets married. We're all witnesses, but nobody's really like, I don't know, super reaching out or anything. And Justin, I think, did for a bit, and then myself. So that's when I met you, was in Grand Prairie.
Yeah,
And we were actually appointed ministerial servants on the same night.
we were. Yeah, we
Yeah.
were both appointed ministerial servants
Yeah.
on the same night. It was an amazing night.
Yeah.
By the CEO superstar.
Yeah. Dale Clark. Yeah. I think they popped champagne in Bethel that night.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think they're corking that champagne now.
That's
They are cursing that night. Well, I don't know. Do you want to say more? I don't. I was just
No,
gonna do
it's a
quick-
huge long story. We could probably do like a whole thing about it. So
I know that's what I'm thinking.
It's really
it's like
really in depth.
impossible.
Anyways, I woke up through another crazy bunch of events. 2016 was the last time I was disfellowshipped, and I woke up after that. And I kind of always wanted to. Once I got, watching YouTube and getting involved in activism a bit, really made me want to do something, whether it was writing or whatever. But I never got around to it really. So just social media posts, and I think one thing got posted on Avoid JW, and other than that, that's about it.
Yeah, and I think you're also, which is unlike me, you're a little bit more involved in the community to like some cult organizations or religious indoctrination organizations too. Like even you were talking about being a counselor or something, wasn't it? What's the deal there?
No, I volunteered for Recovering from Religion,
Right.
and I've just never got finished the training. I'm
Oh.
like halfway through, and I've been stuck forever. Did the interview process and all that, and then I've been doing the training, but I've just never had time. And once, but eventually, I'm going to finish that. And then,
Yeah. How many businesses do you have? Like 8, 9, I think it is.
yeah, for sure. nine on the books.
Yeah, exactly. Well, okay. So, we wanted to do these introductions quick. I'm a fourth generation, I think, JW. My family ended up in North America, like my distant family, great grandfather from Norway in 1905. But it wasn't his generation that became JWs. It was my grandfather's generation. Both on my mother's side, it would have been great grandfather's generation, but on my father's side, it would have been grandfather's generation. But so yeah, like on my mother's side and on my father's side, there's like an insane amount of witnesses. Insane. My phone is going off here. Turn it off. So pretty much everybody was and are Jehovah's Witnesses. So if you go into the central British Columbia kind of part of the world, I have lots of extended family and lots of elders and whatever. So and there was some members of the family that weren't witnesses, but I didn't know them. You know how that works, eh?
Yeah, they don't exist.
Yeah. So I grew up in the truth. There I go. I've been out for a long time. And I was eventually a ministerial servant, family, the whole thing. And then in 2009, that's when I left, and it was that was a long story too. Where the whole waking up process and And I ended up writing a letter to the newspaper when I was waking up, and that's what kind of got me kicked out. They said that I disassociated myself, which I kind of did, but I also didn't really do it officially, but they decided to make that decision for me. So, so yeah, and then I eventually moved to Calgary, married now, and we have 2 little kids, and yeah, like, I took a break. I will get to that later, but, I took a long break after I left from activism, and now for the last couple years, I've been kind of back at it. So yeah, that's me. Um, Nash.
That's all I heard when you left was that you wrote a letter to the paper, and
Yeah.
everybody was shocked. And believe me, when we heard Greg had left, we were really shocked because Greg
Yeah.
was a good Jehovah's Witness.
Well, so are you actually.
Kind of,
Yeah,
but we tried to be, I don't know, a little bit
yeah.
fringy, but not really. You were like,
Uh,
man,
e I don't
straight and
like to
narrow.
think back to that time, you know what I mean? I think of myself as, I don't know, we had to do some I always remember there was, I won't mention his last name, but I remember we did a shepherding call once to Rob's house, okay? Rob,
Yeah,
I won't say his last name,
yeah,
but we went over to Rob's house, me and Bill, won't say his last name either, but so we went over to Rob's house, and it was the shepherding call with a guy that was the same age as me. I was in my mid to late 20s or something like that, and I went over to the shepherding call. I was in MS, and I was with an elder, and, uh, and we're, like, trying to tell I'm sitting there trying to tell this guy the same age as me how to live his life and how, you know, my life is so much better than his, and, I wasn't describing it that way, but in essence, that's kind of what you're saying. You're saying, "Yeah, I got it all figured out. If you just listen to me, your life is gonna be as great and wonderful as mine." But, like, I didn't have life figured out, and it was arrogant to be doing that, you know what I mean? I think back on that, and I'm, like, embarrassed,
yeah.
embarrassed that I was part of that. I'm sure did you ever go on any shepherding calls?
I think I went on some shepherding calls. My like cringe moment was probably they assigned me to study with some of the weaker ones in the hall.
Yeah.
The one big family, their oldest son, he was struggling spiritually, so they sent me to study with him. And I was like, Jesus, I think I was 23 years old, and he was
Yeah.
17, 18 years old. Like I'm not that much older even.
The
And
blind leading the blind.
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
And the study didn't go well because he left, got with his girlfriend, and then he became a Mormon.
Wow,
And
well
then
done.
I
Well
really,
done.
I really drove him into another cult, and then I think he's an atheist now,
Yeah.
and he's not with the Mormon girl anymore either. I don't
Oh,
think.
really?
No. And then the other
What
guy they
did
sent
he
me to,
do?
I don't know. One time I brought out the youth book as a joke to start our study, and I had him
Okay.
turn to the chapter on homosexuality and masturbation.
Oh,
That was
you decided to go there right
yeah,
away,
yeah,
hey?
just right away, just to break the ice. And his face just went red, and he couldn't. Then I was like, no, we're not doing that.
Yeah.
It was funny at the time. That's what it's
You
funny
should
to
have
be
tore that out of
as a Jehovah's Witness.
Oh god. Okay. So what were we talking? Oh yeah, yeah. We were talking about how arrogant I was. Yes, I was.
I didn't say
uh,
that. I
yeah,
said
I did.
straight laced.
I I did.
The elders quite like
Okay.
Greg.
So here's the deal. We have started this channel. What? Why? Why did we start this?
Because our band failed.
Oh yeah, we had a band too. By the way, YouTube land, we had a band, and it was awesome. Oh, you
Yeah.
probably actually the music you heard when this video started, yeah, that's original music. If you're interested in using that for your YouTube channel, you just send me $1,000
Yes,
and I'll give
1,000.
you
It's
the rights.
copyrighted. It's a
If
big
you
deal
don't, I'm going to sue you.
for
I'm going
sure.
to send you a
Hard
letter from my
from
lawyer.
from a Canadian lawyer, and
From
it'll
a
be
Canadian.
very strongly but also nicely worded.
Yeah, and it will be 3,000 that I will be asking you for.
Yes. Yeah.
If
That's
you get the letter.
that's what it's going to be.
Okay, well, let me tell you what I think about this channel. So I've always said in the past, and actually, I've talked to Lloyd about this and various people, because even Lloyd was saying, in random conversations I've had with him, which weren't many, but some lately, and it was mostly arguments, but I did have some friendly interaction with him on Twitter, and he said, "Yeah, you should start a YouTube channel." And I always said the same thing. I said, if these other YouTubers take the words out of my mouth, they say what I want to say in a much more produced and articulate way. So I didn't feel the need to do anything. But lately I've been finding that there's some topics that I thought could be talked about and that the other YouTube channels aren't talking about. And also, Nash and I
You can
were
call me Nation. It's fine.
okay. We we kind of had this idea for more of a podcast style YouTube channel where you're always interviewing somebody and it's a long form conversation. And also, and it's not like we're the only ones that are doing that. I know there's other ones doing that, and there's other ones that have started up since this whole Lloyd mess. And yeah, we're another one that has started up. But yeah, I think the podcast style kind of, conversation um channel is a great idea. And we're hoping that, kind of, in this one, we're kind of both kind of running the show here, but in future episodes, maybe one of us will kind of be the host and we'll have a few other guests on. And also, if other people want to be a host, then I can just run the StreamYard application, and we can interview other people too. So it's for whoever kind of wants to come on here, and you can take over the show for an hour or two, and when we'll upload it, right? So that's kind of the philosophy behind it. And also, we kind of had this idea of maybe it being a little bit more activism based. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
And I think along with what you said, it's important also. I think it will give a voice for people that don't have the time or just don't want to. I mean, it's the same reason I never got a channel going is it's that first episode or that first few episodes
Yeah,
and the time commitment and getting your stuff all ready
damn right.
and just doing it. And so I think for a lot of people, they do have a voice and an opinion that I think is valid and needs to be heard. And I think that we can give them a platform to do that because that's what our plan is, right? Is to let people come on and share their opinions and they don't have to always agree on things and
Yeah, like
we can talk about some topics that maybe people want to shy away from. I mean, I don't want to always be that. I don't want to be the controversy channel. That's not.
I don't want to be the controversy channel, but I'm not afraid of it either. And I
No.
think that I'm going to be the one. Let me just say this first. I'm going to be the one to say something stupid. And if ever somebody's going to have to do an apology video, it's going to be me.
I hope it's live.
Yeah.
I hope it's a live stream.
Yeah.
And it'll be super monetized.
It'll be very monetized.
And along with that too, something I've always thought of is that I think after you're out for a long time, we tend to feel like certain things don't need to be talked about, or like that's been talked about so much. I'm just repeating something, or like everybody's done something about that or a show about that. But I remember back when I came out, which was only in 2017 was when I started watching YouTube videos and listening to podcasts. And like for me, this JW-Live was a huge podcast, and Critical Thinkers were huge for me. And then eventually I stumbled onto Lloyd and watched some of his stuff.
Then
But
stumbled off.
that's trailed off. But they'd all been around for a long time. Like they'd been making content for a long
Yeah.
time. But for me, it was brand new, and so I just binged it all. And
Yeah.
and I wanted to read all of it. I wanted to watch all of it, and hear all of it. And there's still, and that's the thing, people are still coming out. So for somebody that's just coming out, you don't have to worry that you're repeating something. that they haven't
Yeah.
heard, because everybody appeals to a different, format or a different personality
Mhm.
or whatever. Or maybe they want something from their home country because they're super prejudiced against, people that aren't Canadian, something along those lines. I don't know.
Everybody loves Canadians. I mean, come on.
Maybe that's not, maybe that's not
Except
true. I
if
don't
you're a Canadian trucker. Along with that, yeah, like when I was first waking up, I spent a lot of time on YouTube, and I actually uploaded a bunch of videos. I was putting up videos on YouTube before Lloyd. So I got you beat, Lloyd, if you ever watch this and are gritting your teeth right now.
He won't.
He won't. I don't know. Maybe. So yeah, I was G Preacher. Did you ever see any of my videos?
I don't
You never
know.
did.
I never. No, they were all gone by the time I was out.
Yeah, and then so I put up videos and I watched a lot of other people. Ex Gilead missionary, like you've heard of him, hey?
I think so, but I can't recall.
Yeah, he was awesome, and I remember him, and there were some other people too. But yeah, I think I put up like 4 or 5 videos, and then I stopped activism because I was going to talk about that later, but we can talk about it now. Like activism is it takes a lot out of you, and if you don't know how to handle it right, it it can affect you quite negatively, and actually can like take over your life. So um but I think that both of us are in a place right now where we can do this, and then we can still go home and not be thinking about it all night and up like up till 2 a.m. with your mind racing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Have you ever had
Yeah.
that?
Yeah. I've definitely had that.
So yeah, no. YouTube, yes, there was. Yeah, I did the same thing, and I'm hoping this channel can, it can be a place where we will talk about stuff that's been talked about before. We'll get other people on here, and yeah, and another thing I wanted to mention about this channel is one of the other reasons why I wanted to start this is because of the negativity that's come out about the community. Uh, and I feel defensive about that. Like Lloyd has been quite negative about the community. And also I've seen other people that are kind of acting like we're all, you know, uh, uh, you know, uh,
Damaged
um,
goods.
damaged and now I'm not denying that obviously there's some trauma that we've experienced from this religion. I don't deny that, but the characterization of the group as a whole, the community as a whole, I do take issue with, and I think it's ridiculous the way that he has, yeah, and other people have characterized us. And I just wanted it to play this where we can bring some positivity into the community. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And whether that be just open discussion and like a debate, and just something positive.
Yeah.
That's one of the other motivations I had for this channel. So
Except for when I talk about myself, that's going to be super negative. But
yeah,
other people, we're going to tell some great stories. We got some interviews lined up,
yeah,
successful people.
yeah.
They're
We'll
going
get
to
to
be,
that.
they're going to be great.
We'll get to that. So why don't we just say this here? I mean, we do have an announcement at the end of the podcast. Well, we'll leave it to the end, hey?
Oh yeah, it's a huge
Oh, it's
announcement.
huge. It's
We're gonna
big
get
time.
100,000 subs right off the bat.
Yeah, instantly. So, but what the hell was I going to say? Oh yeah, if you feel that you have some ideas or something for a show, or you actually want to be a host of the show,
Or a guest.
or a guest, just let me know on Twitter, and we'll see what we can line up.
And we got an
And
email set up that they could email.
oh yeah, that's right. I will. Yeah, I'll put it on the screen here, and but if I don't, but I think it will. It's EXJW-Live at gmail.com. So there you go, and it'll be in the description. There you go. That's what I'll do.
Totally.
So yeah, and it'll always be live off the floor kind of record. So we call it XJW Live, but I don't I think some of them will be live streamed, actually streamed, but some of them won't be. But it's still a live off the floor recording. You know what I mean? When like if you get the Johnny Cash live album, that's still recorded, but it's live. You get it? So
Yeah.
that's why we're allowed to call ourselves live.
That's so we can edit out nudity.
Edit out. I'm not editing that out.
You should.
That will stay.
I feel,
Okay,
feel like
so this is the video we wanted to do today. We're running, about 25 minutes or so right now. We wanted to do this video as an introduction to the channel, so I think we've kind of done that. But also we wanted to talk a little bit about activism, because with recent events, I think that's one thing that that we can kind of talk about. And it's a question. It's, can an individual be an activist and still make money in this environment? You know what I mean? So we all know who we're talking about. We're talking about especially Lloyd, who calls himself an activist, but also makes probably a considerable amount of money. So, what do you think? Can an activist make money, Nash?
I think it's nice the way you're saying my name. It's so when I first, I guess my gut instinct is no. I'm a big no, anything for activism or for some kind of social change. I don't think people should get paid, or I think it muddies the waters, and then they lose focus on it. But I mean, saying that, I did some research and kind of looked around.
You did? What?
I did, and and between our discussions too, I mean, I see the reason for the incentive to continue, because it does take time and money and whatever. But I think we talked about this before. No matter what, that should always come second. For me, it's not even an issue. Like I don't care about getting any money. And we talked about that, how we don't ever plan on taking Patreons of any kind. Not that anybody would want to be one, but we're not going to accept them anyway.
Well, you know what? I'm just seeing as though you're on that. That was our original plan, was for this channel never to do Patreon, or Patreon, and so never to take patrons.
Greg never says never.
But I don't like that word. So, but that is the kind of the philosophy of this channel, is we will never do that. Now, I suppose there is some, let's say in the Wonders of Wonders, we had 50 people involved in some sort of project or something. That's where I see that maybe we would do that. But I don't want this to come across, because there's some great channels out there that do have patrons. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And we're not saying they shouldn't. That's what I mean. Like, yeah, I think that's important to say, is that there are a lot of channels that have Patreon and have patrons, and I get that, and that's fine. And I don't think that takes away from their work. I think they still do great work. And the reality is they can do those highly polished, like super researched, lots of cuts and edits and, everything else, because those take a ton of time.
Yeah.
And we still all got bills to pay and families and lives to live. So that makes sense.
But here's the question though. Are they activists?
I don't know. I think they are.
Yeah. I think,
but I think activism is a huge, it encompasses a lot, right? Like there's activism, I think real activism, and I'm not trying to take away from anybody who's more of an entertaining activist.
Hey, I like that. There you go. Yes.
But I think the real, nuts and bolts of activism is stuff like what is happening in Norway, or websites like the ones Jason set up, or that Paul Grundy set up, like jwfacts.com and AccessJW, that are full of documents and letters and things that courts can use, governments can use. Yeah, Mark O'Donnell that does some serious on the ground chase. Going to these court cases, nobody's paying him for that.
Hmm.
And that's important work. That affects change. And that's what we all want to do, right? We want to affect change in this organization. I don't want to see, Watchtower burn to the ground. I probably wouldn't cry if it did, but that's not
Yeah.
it's not what I want. I
Yeah.
mean, people can choose to believe whatever they want. People believe crazy things, and people can be Jehovah's Witnesses if they want. But there's a lot of things wrong with it that I think could change. And a big
But
one, of
my
course.
my phrase is drag the Watchtower into the 21st century.
Yeah, for sure.
That's what I would like to see.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, sure, that touches on every other religion too, when it comes to things like child indoctrination. But they take it to a whole nother level. And
Yep.
and I mean, that's what we know. So that's what we're generally going to talk about. But we're not shut off from talking about, other ones as well.
But excuse me. With regards to that, look what these activists that are first and foremost activists, like the people you mentioned, look what they're doing. They are keeping Watchtower in the courts. You know, when we put a video on YouTube, Watchtower is not involved. I mean, they might, like, even in my situation, we know that they do sort of pay attention to that sort of thing. But it, when these activists go to work, they're actually bringing Watchtower to the table, where Watchtower has to defend themselves and Watchtower has to expend resources, in court. So this activism that these other individuals are involved is direct contact with the Watchtower.
Yeah.
You know, so that really does take it to another level. And where you can really call yourself an activist.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
um,
No, I agree with that. And I think it's important not to try and like, you don't want to I don't want to say insult people, but that's kind of what it comes down to, is because not everybody can do that. Not
yeah.
everybody can do that. Not everybody can have a YouTube channel. Not everybody can have a podcast.
Hmm.
Not everybody can go stand on a picket line.
Yeah.
Um, and it doesn't invalidate any of those things.
No,
I think
not at all.
everybody can play their part, however it is, whether they're sticking leaflets in somebody's window. I
Yeah,
know people
damn
that
right.
do that,
Well, and
and
not everybody's an activist. Like,
yeah,
and
that too.
you don't have to do anything. Most of the comments that we receive on Facebook or Twitter or whatever, a lot of them are just, they are ex Jehovah's Witnesses who, feel, that they have opinions about the Watchtower, but they wouldn't consider themselves an activist, right? And you don't
Right.
have to be even an activist at all.
Yeah. No, that's true. That's true. And I think the other, maybe the other side effect of this kind of thing that maybe we don't realize as much, is the effect that it has on the community of what we call worldly people. Um, they watch this stuff. I know really, like, the most feedback I hear, well, because I'll never hear from Jehovah's Witnesses, but on any like Facebook post or anything I write or whatever, I always hear from people in the community. Like, they'll text me or call me and ask me questions about it, and they're fascinated by how crazy it is, and
Yeah.
and they know, like, I'm still in the same town I grew up in, so my parents are here, and they don't talk to me, and we all used to work together as a family, so I work with these same people that we worked with as little kids, and they see this kind of thing going on, and they can't believe it. Yeah, but they get to see it with their own eyes, and so they see how damaging it is, and it gives them a better perspective on the organization, that it's not harmless, because Jehovah's Witnesses are good at getting away with looking like a harmless religion. They're just
Yeah.
the nutty people that go in service and they take their religion too serious, but they're
Yeah,
pretty
you should.
nice and they're
I
normal.
read that whole document from the Norway, the Watchtower. If anybody does know, Watchtower uh, submitted an appeal to the Norway decision. The Norway decision, by the way, was that the Norway government refused the funding from the government because of the disfellowshipping practices, especially with regards to underage individuals in the church. And so I read, so Watchtower appealed this decision, and I read that, and yeah, like they just they do two things. First, they make ex Jehovah's Witnesses look like crazy people. They do they
Yeah.
definitely try hard at doing that. But also, yeah, they just make themselves out to be the most normal, everyday religion. We're no different than anybody else, and that is not the truth.
No, and they outright lie about it.
Oh, yeah,
They've done it before, and they'll continue to do it. They
yeah,
say normal family relations continue. They say it again in this same Norway. They said it at the Supreme Court in Canada. They say it here in this submission, and
yeah.
it's just not true. And all you need to do is go on their online library, and do a quick search, and you'll find out that is not true.
Well, the biggest lie that and we're going to go over this a little bit in more detail in upcoming episodes. But the biggest lie that I find with regards to disfellowshipping and shunning is they don't admit that publishers can get in trouble for associating with disfellowshipped people. It doesn't say that anywhere in the submissions. They avoid that topic like the plague.
Yeah.
But it's right in the Shepherd's book. It's right there. If you are in the Shepherd's book, it says that that an individual can be counseled and called in front of a judicial committee for spiritual association with a disfellowshipped individual. So, because that's such a weird phrase, spiritual association, what is that? What does that even mean? And remember, JWs, their whole life is spiritual. I mean, that's almost everything that they do.
Yeah.
So you can see any elder that knows that somebody is talking to a disfellowshipped person, they're going to get counseled because they're just going to take that rope that Watchtower has given them and say, well, yeah, you're having spiritual. Are you not talking about anything spiritual? I mean, how can you not talk about anything spiritual when you're around that person all day? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I have a little story about that.
Let's hear it.
So Kellen, I can say his name. Kellen wants to come on the channel at some point. So he, a good friend of mine, he was disfellowship back in, I think it was around 2010, somewhere in there. So Jared was still alive at that time, my brother. And Kellen didn't have his family. They do the same kind of work as us, but he wasn't allowed to work with them because he was disfellowshipped at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And so I gave him a job up here, and he came to work with us. So he drove an hour every day to come up and work with us. Well, he's like, I mean, once you meet him, he's just like a super gregarious, kind of like happy-go-lucky guy, funny, talk. You can't make him not talk. He's going to talk. There's no way that he's going to be quiet. So him and Jared got along good, and they were kind of related through marriage, I guess. So they kind of paired up at work. So he'd ride around with Jared, and they'd do jobs together. He was kind of his helper. And so I get, he worked for us for, I don't know, it must have been almost a year, maybe not even, but I got hauled into the library at the Kingdom Hall on a Sunday after the meeting, and a couple of the elders there. And he says to me, people in the congregation are talking, and it's we're just worried about this, what's having Kellen work for you guys, that it looks bad on the organization, it looks bad on everybody for him working for you. And I said, well, I mean, he has no, I explained he had no work, and he's got a family and little babies, and he needs a job. And they said, well, it's just it looks like a lot more than a work relationship. People see him and Jared driving around in the truck, and they're laughing and getting along, and like if
but there's no spiritual association.
No, I know, they didn't even go there. They just
of course not.
They said they were driving around in the trup laughing. That was where they stopped it. And
but so there was no spiritual laughing.
No spiritual laughing. It may have been blasphemous laughing, but not spiritual.
Unbelievable.
So they threatened me that we would. Well, he said, you may end up being dealt with judicially if you don't, get them to find other work somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And the crazy thing is, I did. I went to Kellen and I told him what happened.
Yeah.
And he, we're still friends, and he was friends then too. And he understood, because he took it. He was like, oh, that's the way it goes.
Yeah. It's just crazy.
Just kick me when I'm down, and I'll
Yeah.
take it because that's what God wants.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. So, there you go. That's another lie that they just avoid that topic, that individuals, well, let's just say they will get pulled in front of a judicial committee if you continually associate with a disfellowship person,
Yeah, no
you
doubt.
know.
No.
Well, back to this activism thing. I did want to talk about this a little bit because, if you call yourself an activist, I do think that um there is a kind of a bar that you have to reach. You know what I mean? Like I think that your incentive needs to be the activism, right? And not we see with one person in particular that it's like viewership, and the success of the channel is more important than the actual activism. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And so I kind of want to hit this point home a little bit because I don't really want to be nice about it. Um, because I get defensive about this, and I know that there's a lot of people out there doing good work, right? But I think an individual should be careful to describe themselves as an activist when they're more interested in selling T-shirts.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm not afraid to say that. And uh, uh, there's a lot of people out there doing great work, but I think that motivation, I think certain individuals, one in particular, maybe should ask themselves a few questions as to what their motivation is. What is driving them right now? Is it money? Is it views? Is it t-shirt sales? Or is it the actual progress that we make? Because to be honest, and now I could be wrong about this, but I was amazed when the Norway decision came out. I was just, we should be shouting this from the rooftops. This is an amazing thing that happened here. And I didn't hear much about it from certain channels, or one channel in particular. Now, it maybe was mentioned, you know, but, and what about that documentary that got made? The one that was on Vice, I think. You're
Yeah, the one on Vice.
Yeah,
I
that
can't
was
remember what it's called.
amazing. That was
Yeah.
amazing,
Was that
and
the Witnesses? No.
yeah, just the recent one with Mark O'Donnell in it and all of that.
Right.
So, for some people, and we know who we're talking about. We're talking about one person in particular. It's only their work and what they do that is, even though it's said that they're excited about other people's work, I think that's lost in there somewhere, where it's really the promotion of their own channel and the financial rewards from what they're getting from that and the viewership. Now that's fine. That's fine. You want to build your channel? That's great. Go do that. Get as many views. It's a free country. You can do whatever you want. But I may not consider you an activist, and I think maybe you should reconsider the fact that you call yourself an activist. You know what I mean? And I know I'm being kind of a little bit harsh and a little bit one-sided there, but so be it. And I really think one person, and maybe some other people, but I'm specifically talking to one person, they might need to reassess their incentives and what's driving them. You know what I mean? Are you
Yeah.
an entertainer or are you an activist? Well, if you're an activist, then be an activist. Is that enough?
Yeah. Yeah, that'll piss enough people off.
Yeah, exactly. But you know what? You don't have to be an activist. There is a lot of good work that's being done by other people and other YouTube channels, and that that I think are really effective
Yeah.
at getting their point across, and they really help people in the waking up process. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
I don't deny that. It's just what I said already. It's integrity. It's about integrity.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
exactly.
saying?
It is. And that's why.
You know, but this brings up another situation, and that's monetization. So, we wouldn't, for this channel, we've kind of decided that we're not going to take patrons, but as far as monetization, I think that what we're planning on doing is it would help individuals. Like if we brought on guests or hosts, I think that we will kind of try and spread the pot a little bit for individuals if that ever does happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's but the point is that the activism is front and center. The community is front and center, and the progress that we make as a community is front and center, no matter who does it.
Yeah.
So
And I think a lot of people are sick and tired of hearing from middle-aged white men. And so we would really like some diverse guests.
I totally agree. Yeah. Well, it was just Women's Day yesterday. And, I've said this, and I'm not just saying this to pander to the audience. This is the honest truth. That was one of the big reasons why I left the organization, was how ridiculous it is that, that women, the way they're treated in that organization.
Mm-hmm. I could never understand how women could be anointed, but they could never do anything.
I never even thought of that before.
Like that was the one thing that never really made sense to me as a kid. I just didn't get it.
Well, I always think of the, like, everybody probably knows the one elder that had his wife write all the talks, and was maybe not such a great speaker, but his wife would have been considerably a better elder than he would have been. You know what I mean?
And she probably was. He was just a little.
She
puppet.
was the elder. So with regards to the channel, it would be nice. I mean, I don't want to be arrogant, like our channel is the channel. I mean, people can start up their own channel too. But let's say we do, get some views, then it would be nice to have on some women and some people from all over the world.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Yep. All right. Well, I think that should we leave it there? There's a couple things that I wanted to say, or we wanted to say before we finish it off here. One is you brought this up. I guess witnesses are going back to the hall. Hey.
Yeah. April 1st. If there's no government restrictions, it says so. So that's disappointing. I've kind of liked that for my kids because their mom's still a witness.
Oh yeah.
I've kind of appreciated this time that they've been away, because I feel like it's really let them separate themselves a bit. Because no matter what, I think not being there in person and not getting that because they give you the association, right? For kids, your friends are given to you, and that association is given to you. And I remember as a kid, like Lisa asked me today, like, you must have hated that though. Like she said, I hated when we had to go to church, and I don't think I really hated it because sure, I hated sitting there, but we didn't do anything. We didn't do anything in our lives because we were just, we didn't have a lot of money, and we were witnesses, so we weren't allowed to do anything. So we didn't do sports or anything else. We played a little bit, but just we didn't do any organized sports or anything. So I look forward to the meetings because I got to see my friends, because I wasn't allowed to be friends with the kids at school after school, and so you kind of look forward to it. So that worries me.
Yeah.
For my kids.
And then because of that, the indoctrination happens.
It does. And it sinks down harder because now you're attached to these people, and now you have more to lose. Right.
Yeah. And we have this whole Russia-Ukraine thing. So witnesses are, thinking that, okay, this is it. We've had a pandemic. Now we have war, and we know that this is not in the order that even the Watchtower claims things would happen for the end or for the Great Tribulation. But you know how witnesses are; they'll jump onto whatever they can grasp onto, right? So you have that, and then now they're going back, and so Yeah, like for
Well, the
that.
memorial that will be a giant deal
Yeah,
because they'll be back in halls, and it'll be the first one. It'll be the last one. It'll be the
yeah.
first one back. Be the last memorial for sure
Oh
in their
yeah, for sure.
minds.
Well, I am sympathetic to you and your children's situation there. That's a tough one,
Yeah.
and yeah, that's tough to deal with. And I just hope that as time goes by, they can see what but I think you are handling it perfectly, actually.
Well, I don't think there's a perfect way to handle it, but I mean, there's definitely a measured way to handle it.
Yeah.
And you have to, man, you got to bite your tongue, and you got to take some abuse. You really do. And
Yeah.
that's the only time I'll take that kind of treatment.
Yeah.
Um, I don't accept that kind of treatment from Jehovah's Witnesses. Uh, but when it comes to my kids, like, you just
Yeah.
got to bite your tongue, let it go, and just try and set a good example, and show them there's something else, because I didn't have another
Yeah.
choice. I didn't see another way
I
of
didn't
life.
either. Yeah.
So, I mean, I can't imagine what it would have been like to be 13 years old, and you have one parent that says this cult is awesome, and the other parent says we're going to have Christmas and you get
Yeah.
presents, and you
Yeah.
don't have to go to the meeting on Sunday morning, and you don't have to go on service on Saturday, and you can be
Yeah.
in dance, and you can be in sports, and you can have your friends over for sleepovers because they can't go to your mom's. Like, I can't imagine what that would be like. So I hope it's enough. And I mean, time will tell, I guess.
Do you know that in that Norway reply by the Watchtower, they say that kids can join sports?
Oh, do they?
Yeah.
I never got that far.
Yeah, it's near the end. Incredible. Okay, so finally, I'm going to let you announce the
Yeah.
announcement. Go for it.
This is it. This is
This is
huge.
it.
Tell all your friends and share it around, because
Yeah.
he said we're going to get 100,000 subs just
Who's
because
he?
he's on.
He? Who's he? Jehovah? Jehovah the
No.
cat?
No, straight out of Ireland. Jason Wynn.
What?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I know.
Not,
and that
not the Jason Wind.
the Jason Wynn. And then
Wind.
that
Wind.
name drop, probably it'll probably be enough that this will be trending on Twitter. If that's I don't know how trending works on Twitter, because I'm old.
Yeah,
But
it just
sounds like
happens. It just
sounds like
trends.
it's great. I think
When
so.
it trends, it's trending.
Yeah.
So
And I think that's it.
Who again? What was it?
It's a St. Patrick's Day special.
What? Really?
Yeah, we're gonna do it St. Patrick's Day. Around St. Patrick's Day. He said he's gonna dress as a leprechaun.
He did?
And he did.
He did not.
He said that. I don't know if he's gonna do it, but he did say it.
Did you clear that with him?
He texted it to me today. He said it. He said, I'm going to dress up like a leprechaun. So if he was lying, we're all going to find out that Jason Wynn will be here, and he will also be a liar. And I hope that's not true. I hope he wears his leprechaun suit.
So let me get real close to the mic. And for anybody that didn't hear this, Jason Wynn, March 17th, Jason Wynn, be here for the reveal for the episode of the century.
I don't know if you know him or not. He's a fairly new activist.
Yeah. Okay, so have I said enough to get myself in trouble yet?
Yeah, I think so. I wanted to say the show notes here said something about T-shirts.
Yeah.
So I thought we were selling T-shirts. So I got this one. This is the T-shirt. We're selling these for $49.99 on Teespring.
Well, that's it. That's only a 200% markup.
Well, and they're great. They're great because they're good for the environment. Because what I did was I went through the garbage and I found old T-shirts that had been thrown out, and I fixed them up. I put the logo on, and now they're ready. Now they're ready for sale. So
how do people buy that T-shirt?
I don't know. I'd also like to push my book that I wrote. I wrote this book.
Okay.
It's a memoir of my life. It has all the things that happened in my life in it. This is me as a child out in service. And it's this book is also $49.99.
Was it?
You can probably find it on Amazon because everything awesome is on Amazon.
Wow, that is. Oh wow! I didn't realize that we were going to push so much merchandise, but
Well, I think I
we
read the
gotta
notes
make.
wrong. You said something about merchandise, and so I whipped something up quick there.
Yeah, so that'll be available in the store. In
Yeah,
the
for sure.
store, it's in the description. I think there's 2 t-shirts available. And
There's
what were they?
one.
100,
There's just one.
199. Just one. There's just one available. One
It's
available. So
it's limited time, so it'll be worth a lot.
yeah.
It's a one of a kind.
And we don't want to see these t-shirts on eBay. Okay.
No,
Don't.
I just want to see you on Twitter wearing it, saying, "God, you guys do good work."
Damn right. Okay. Well, hey, that was great. We will see you again for the next episode, for the St. Patrick's Day episode with Jason Wynn. And this was awesome. See you later, everybody. Nash.
Yep. See you later. Hope we do another one.
Okay. Later, people.
Bye.